everybody, Terrence Popp here with another episode that is live from the Lair. No, it's pre-recorded, and I have received probably a couple of hundred requests for me to continue the zombie apocalypse episodes. So we're going to do one right here.
The regiment's favorite serial killer is back. Thomas Maxwell Belial has returned for Shadow of the Wraith, Book 3 of the Jericho Files, now available in paperback and ebook. This new chapter sees Tom fighting ancient evil beings who have taken a dislike for his adherence to that whole vigilante justice thing. Now he finds himself fighting off these evil forces while evading law enforcement at the same time. Can there be a happy ending for one who lives by the sword? Find out by clicking on the link tree in the description or scanning the QR code on the screen. Happy hunting.
Now, unfortunately, this is more on the real side than the hypothetical side, even though the past zombie apocalypse are totally feasible.
It worked in the movie!
But I'm going to be honest, from what we've been seeing and what open sources have been saying in regards to what's going on is pretty terrifying in my opinion. Now, we're coming to the end of the past 4 years of the dictator-in-chief. All right, so it is what it is. He so-called got installed in 2020. I hope we can revisit that and find out what shagnanigans took place, and anyone who participated should be charged with a minimum of sedition, possibly treason.
You bastards!
I am not a lawyer, nor do I work for law enforcement. These are strictly my opinions. This video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Take it with a grain of salt. All of this information can be found on the interwebs, and some of what I have is rumor control. But the forces that be have been playing one hell of a long game, and we're going to talk about it right now. The title of this video is Zombie Apocalypse, Patriots Awaken. Boom! We've had 4 years of the dictator-in-chief so-called running this country. Now, with his mental state, could you really say he's running this country, or are there 30-pound brain individuals in the background with either their hand up his ass to turn him into the USA ATM or puppet strings to control what he does? In my opinion, he's been out of it since the beginning. And again, the patriots of this country are going to get mad at me for saying this, but it was a blessing in disguise because we got to see exactly what they want to do to the entire country. All right, another one here. We've had a complete open border for 4 years, and I would say it was fairly open while Obama was in office, and for the first couple years Trump was in office, until he was able to rein it in, and the Democrats totally destroyed that, and they even are trying to auction the materials that have been left behind on the uncompleted sections. Next, this is an estimate between 18 and 30 million illegals have entered this country in the past 12 years, with a majority of them coming through in the past 4 years. And not only were they brought into this country and allowed to enter, they have been flown, bussed, and trained all over this country to make it even harder to collect them and send them back, which in my opinion, because we can't afford it, that needs to happen. Call me what you will, and that's where I fall on that particular subject. Now, some people are going to have sympathy stories, but I've said this before, and I'll say it again, and I'm going to put it in my next book. Mercy is cheap, Compassion is incredibly expensive. There you go. Next one. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to see that crime has radically increased. All right, that could be either due to the massive drug invasion we have with drugs that are so lethal, they're literally considered chemical weapons. Like back in the day, you used to score some heroin, maybe you'd have to double up to OD. Now they're putting trace amounts of fentanyl in ecstasy and other party drugs which you think are safe, and people are dying hand over fist. And the people who have, how shall we say this in a polite way, the mindset to be addicted to virtually anything, once they get a taste of this, they're probably not going to be able to stop of their own accord. This is done on purpose. It's both a weapon and a money grab. Next, defund the police. Now, I myself have a complicated opinion of law enforcement. I do think they go overboard on a lot of things.
Razor, I'll blow your fucking brains out!
Operate behind qualified immunity, which breeds tyrants all the way down to the street cop. And the politics within the blue line prevents the good cops from coming forward to stop these absolute idiots.
Send more cops.
It's a hard job. I don't think I would like to do it. They don't pay you enough. You have to deal with a bunch of bullshit. Mainly, they are seeing the outcome of 3 generations of people raised by single mothers, and it's an absolute nightmare out there for them. I usually don't give them any trouble, comply with what they say if it is within reason, because I'm a veteran and I'm honor bound to do so. All right, with that being said, defund the police, top of the agenda for the Democrats, and I would actually call them communists. All right, they've destroyed the U.S. military, which is very near and dear to my heart. I retired from the United States Army after 33 years of service. I held the rank of First Sergeant, which I retired at, and I have done all of the jobs from First Sergeant all the way down to an E1 private. I've also got all the bells and whistles, the Green Beret. I was an airborne ranger, forged in the fire of the regiment, a paratrooper infantry soldier, intel analyst, and civil affairs specialist, and that is where Green Berets go to die.
You're dead. You're dead, man, and you're gonna turn into one of those things out there.
All right, I am not an idiot. I can see the handwriting on the wall no matter how the media tries to sell it to me. They are full of shit, and they've been lying to us for over 12 years, and before that, not as bad, but there's a reason why the major networks are collapsing, because a large portion of the Americans have seen they are being fed bullshit. Next. Okay. The military has missed its recruiting goals for the past, I think, 6 years. I believe they have made their goals this year by radically lowering the standards. So a lot of people who could not hack it or get into the military in the past are now filling those slots. Now, am I going to say all of them are a waste of time and effort? No, I am not. I have had quite a few, how shall we say this, misfits under my command and control, which I rehabilitated, who became outstanding soldiers, and several of them served at the highest levels. I'm not going to go into any more detail. Next, you have mass retirements. We were at war for over 2 decades. That's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and a lot of institutional knowledge that is now walking out the door. They get their 20 years, they fall under the old system, they are gone because of the toxic leaders and all of this DEI and racial bullshit that has taken place. within the ranks. There is absolutely no reason you have to call a formation, march them into a classroom, and tell them they shouldn't be rapists, especially when those soldiers have been law-abiding citizens all their life and good troops. That crushes morale and drives people out of the service. I've heard hundreds of people tell me this. Next, retention is in the toilet. Did you know the Navy really can't man all of its ships because they don't have enough crew?
In the Navy, yes, you can sail the seven seas. In the Navy.
They're actually putting stop loss on pilots because they are getting the hell out and doing other things because the dictator-in-chief and the people pulling the strings have completely weakened the U.S. military from the top down, bottom up, and every layer in between. In my opinion, officers need to be selected out of hard chargers in the enlisted who have a proven track record of efficiency, and all of the officers who are picked from high school captains and, PTA leaders or whatever the hell, that needs to stop. That model was made in the late 1800s, and it is obsolete today, especially when death can happen in a fraction of an instant. Next, mass fentanyl and other drugs are being poured into this country. I've already spoken about this. Some of these drugs are so potent, they are deadly to the lowest dosage possible. All right, there are some people who play around with that stuff because they have incredible tolerances, but they don't live long. Again, the media is not showing you these numbers. You're being lied to hand over fist. Next, NGOs, which stands for non-governmental organizations. All right, Battle Dwarf and I have covered this. We have all kinds of NGOs that have been facilitating the mass migration of individuals into our country illegally. Why they're allowed to do so, I have no idea, but that money is being given to them by the Democrats and the people pulling the strings. So our own government has been basically funding an invasion in our northern and southern borders. And I do say northern border because that is also used not to the extent as the southern border, but the sophisticated smart ones literally fly to Canada in style. And there are some places along the border where they literally walk through a small patch of woods and they're in the United States. All right. The arrow goes up there, and our United States government has basically told our alphabet agencies to stand down in regards to this invasion of both our borders and target U.S. citizens, i.e. Christians who have been standing up in school board meetings, anyone who's critical of the performance that our government has been doing, to include myself. I'm pretty sure I'm on a bunch of alphabet agency lists. And to be honest, it is what it is. I've never really been that guy to stand there and say nothing, especially when it's been screwed up 3 ways to Sunday. And that's the main reason I was never promoted to Sergeant Major. And when the Sergeant Major of the Army told me that, my response was, worth it. This information needs to get out there to the public. Probably it's not going to get very far. It's going to be quashed by YouTube. But at least I'll be able to sleep at night. All right, next. Media ignores this problem. I've said this probably a couple hundred times on this show. The media is owned by 6 corporations. The law to stop propaganda within the borders of the United States was rescinded during the Obama administration. We have literally been fed a bunch of propaganda from the media heavily for the past 12 years, and the past 8, it has just been to the point of lunacy. And if you're one of those individuals out there who believes everything the media has told you, you might be highly educated, but you're an ignorant fool.
Emotional damage.
Send your hate mail to redonkulas12@gmail.com. Okay? If you have a valid argument, I probably will respond to it. I spend 2 hours a day responding to emails and direct messages via Facebook and other platforms. There's all kinds of fans out there who I've called in a pinch when they send me an email saying like emergency, and it is what it is. But I'm only one man and I can only do so much. Last but not least on this board, schools. Schools have been brainwashing our children, I would say, for the past 22 to 25 years. Ha! I graduated from high school in 1986, and it was starting to ramp up even back then. I have 2 daughters, and many times I went to their high school and met with teachers, went to PTA meetings, talked to all kinds of individuals in events, and saw the propaganda hanging on the walls and read some of the textbooks, which have literally produced a generation of useful idiots.
Stupid! You're so stupid!
And useful idiots are the cannon fodder that are used to overthrow a government.
Dad, you killed the zombie Flanders.
You was a zombie?
It's been done before in the past, and it'll be done again in the future. It just is what it is. I'm not here to lie to you or deceive you. I'm just telling you the truth as I come across it. I skipped over this one here, but this is part of the rumor control. Over the past 4 years, it is estimated we've had 3 brigades of enemy combatants come across the border. All right, when you break that down, it's basically 1,500 fighting men from Iran, ISIS, China, and the drug cartels. That boils down to roughly 300 per state. Now, typically when I was in the Special Forces, they would drop an A-team or a A-team plus.
If you have a problem, if no one else can help, and if you can find them, maybe you can hire the A-team.
Behind enemy lines or into enemy countries to organize and train and lead guerrilla resistance. In my opinion, that's what these 300 are, and that's what they're probably going to do. And they've been funded by our very own government, and they're using our Constitution against us because U.S. citizens are allowed to own firearms.
I have to have a gun. It's in the Constitution.
And that's how, with a few minor adjustments, you can turn a regular gun into 5 guns.
And you probably have enough useful idiots to arm these individuals. And they can recruit useful idiots from the people who have been educated in the past 20 some odd years, who are very unhappy with the country as a whole. Now, I'm going to go on record here. I absolutely love the United States of America. I loved it to the point where I literally risked my life regularly to protect it. And I almost lost my life twice in combat. The last time I was wounded severely, and I still suffer to this very day. In the past 20 years, I've had maybe 60 nights of restful sleep, in about 45 days where I wasn't in some type of pain.
Pain!
Hurts to be dead.
Via headaches, arthritis, what have you. Some days it's to the point I can't even get out of bed. That's how much I love the United States of America. But I'm severely displeased with the government and how they've been treating its citizens and prioritizing non-citizens and taking benefits away from veterans and our own citizens who are homeless. And giving it to individuals who are in this country illegally. It's the simple truth. Major players in this invasion. Democrats, who in my opinion are communists. They are no longer the party of any of the American people. They don't represent the working class. They've been emboldened because of the useful idiots. And we have some billionaires out there who want to maintain the status quo because they're making money hand over fist. Now, I don't have a problem if they make money, all right? That's the way the capitalists work. But just like any other form of government, when you get enough people at the top who are powerful, you're going to get a lot of corruption, and we're seeing that happen, especially with Big Pharma, which I will get to. All right, Iran has a bunch of terrorist sleeper cells in this country. This is rumor control. Take it for whatever it's worth. And they're easily hidden within the Islamic community, which we have many of here in the United States, with Dearborn being about 22-minute drive from where the Lair is located. All right, we have Chinese massive drugs being imported into this country and the chemicals to produce said drugs, which are precursors. We have ISIS operatives in this country looking for a little payback. Again, this is rumor control. Take it for whatever it's worth. All right, you have Israel. Now, listen, I don't have a problem with the Jewish community. I don't have a problem with the Islamic community. What I have a problem with is I'm sick and tired of paying for it. We've been at war with the Islamic communities around the world for about a little over 2 decades. There's still secret wars going on and dudes getting droned on the regular. Not a fan. All right, and Israel, listen, they've been milking us for billions upon billions of dollars for over half a century. Again, I'm tired of paying for it. If you want to live in the promised land, you should be able to defend it on your own. It's simple as that. Okay, you can call me whatever you want. Again, I fall on the side of logic, reason, and the numbers. And that's what the numbers are telling me. Next, you have the Mexican cartel. And from what I've been hearing, they have been basically transporting said drugs and escorting said terrorist sleeper cells and what have you into this country. And I dare say there have been quite a few Border Patrol agents who have been bribed to look the other way or flat out told by the administration to sit on your hands and do nothing if you still want to get paid. That is fucked up. All right, next. BLM. Now, BLM has pretty much fallen off the radar. But if you have a tactical mind, you will see that the BLM riots were a rehearsal for something that's upcoming. Meaning, the people who showed up for the BLM riots are the useful idiots, except this time, when it does happen, they're going to have professional fighters training them and telling them what to do. Now, when the BLM riots were going on, there was a couple of Molotov cocktails, a couple fires set, a whole bunch of riots, and laser pointers and what have you. I have seen the intel charts. They have tracked all of the people involved in this via their cell phone, because let's be honest, in current year, if you have a cell phone, you literally have an AirTag attached to you 24/7, 365, and they can go back over a decade with current technologies and databases to track everywhere you have been within 50 meters. Kind of scary. That's why the alphabet agencies have visibility all on this, and to date, they have done very little that I've been able to find. This is just a professional criticism. It is what it is. Don't be mad at me. I'm just telling you the truth. Billions of dollars have gone missing in the past 4 years. I would say probably close to $1 trillion or maybe more when you put in the Department of Defense and their black hole budgets, which we're not allowed to see, hear, or even know about.
You don't actually think they spend $20,000 on a hammer, $30,000 on a toilet seat, do you?
I'm not a fan of that. That breeds all kinds of craziness, and this country is riddled with a history of alphabet agencies doing very immoral shit to our citizens without our knowledge. That is uncool and, in my opinion, needs to stop. This money needs to be accounted for and tracked, which they probably can do, because all you gotta do is find the money and you will be able to find these individuals here and take appropriate action.
Where's the money, Lebowski?
It's down there somewhere. Let me take another look.
All right, and finally, we have Big Pharma and Big Tech. Now, this is strictly my opinion, but we will see in the next few years the stories, the studies that our media has not covered being brought to the forefront. You're going to see the massive amount of casualties and damage that Big Pharma has created. Our government under Trump has been awakened to this, and they are going to dig a hole in their ass. And I hope they hold them accountable and not just fine these sons of bitches. When you poison half the planet, in my opinion, of course, I believe your punishment should be a little bit more than a couple of $1 billion in fines.
Hanging's too good for him. Burning's too good for him.
But that's just me. What the hell do I know? I'm just a very old infantry grunt. And finally, Big Tech and their censorship. I am not the only one who has noticed all of this going on over the past 20 years. All right. I saw it when I was in Iraq. I was on the ground when major stories took place. And then I watched those stories on MSNBC, CNN, and what have you, and they were completely different. Now, I understand people have perspectives or a point of view, but when you change the stories 180 degrees, that is not a mistake or a skewed perception. You are literally creating propaganda, and it has only gotten worse. And Big Tech has been censoring creators such as myself harshly because we are simply telling the truth from our point of view. It's simple as that. Again, I'm just an old grunt. I fall on the side of the numbers, logic, and reason. I do a lot of comedy on this show to keep men and veterans alive because we live in very trying times. Men are completely disposable and expendable. Nobody's talking about it, and it needs to change. I'm going to end this here. Gentlemen, if you watch this, please, if you're in a bad state of mind, play the long game, ride it out, and do not take a permanent solution to a temporary problem. That's all I have for you, gentlemen. Take it easy.